So like I said, I'm just out of this movie. I've just seen it. And I'm still trying to get out away. How is for you the experience as a filmmaker when you see the final movie, when it's really done?
It's very different because you've constructed it and spent so long with it and seen it so many times. But it's a weird one, really. But it was interesting on this one because we shot it and then we actually put it on ice for 6 months because of the Olympic opening ceremony which we were involved in. And so we got a chance to come back to it kind of 6 months after we'd shot it. And it was kind of very helpful in constructing the edit of the film, you know, because we were slightly less familiar with it than you normally are. You're normally over familiar with every detail of a movie that you've shot. But I was less familiar with it. And when we watched it for the first time, after 6 months, it was like, oh, I couldn't remember bits of it. And then, so it was nice, actually. It was a help.
Yeah. But what was the first idea when you first got the script or the first idea of that movie? Why did you want to make this movie?
Because of her, Rosario Dawson's character. Yeah. Because although she only appears 20 minutes into the film, and she's brought in as a kind of professional expert to help out in an area of criminality, she begins to move inexorably more and more towards the centre of the film. And by the time the film finishes, you realise she's in the engine room of the movie, not the boys. And I like that. I've never made a film like that. And I always wanted to do that. And of course, it's very deliberately set up at the beginning as James McAvoy's film. You know, he's the hero, he's kind of has got the voiceover and he's got all the laughs and the, you know, it's like, it's all that. And then he gets all salted and you feel sorry for him, he's in hospital and then he's tortured and it's like, oh. But actually what you find out about him is that he deserves all that trouble because of what he's done himself. So that was the central premise of that was a wonderful, and that she lives her life on her own terms and that she does not run away, which people advise her to do. And that she uses her skill and her sensuality at times to survive, really. She doesn't sell the painting at the end. The painting is not monetarised by her, which the men would do. Yeah. She keeps it, I think, because it's a symbol for her of how she has overcome the dangers that they have threatened her with, the violence they threatened her with.
It's quite crazy because I already thought the same. It's just fascinating, the character of Rosario, which powers she has in the end. I mean, she is in control, which you don't, when you first see her, it's like you said, you think it's a professional, she's helping him and he's the good guy. And then it completely turns around. And these characters are rare for women, I think.
Very rare.
Yeah, why is that way?
Because the girls are normally decoration. Their adornment that hangs around the movie as girlfriends, and you know, I mean that's the truth of it. And I think, you know, when you're auditioning for a role like this, you realise because you meet the top women, they don't have that many roles to go round where they absolutely dominate a movie. You know, it's quite rare for them to get those kind of roles as potential. You know, obviously there's certain art movies that do it, but for mainstream movies that you're trying to engage a wide public involved in, they're very rare, those roles, you know. So that's the movie business, really, which I'm guilty of as well. I've worked with some great actresses, but never given them the actual construction of the film, you know, never given it to them. And the talent's there, you know, and it's desperate to work, you know, but it's rare that they get entrusted with the central premise of the movie.
That's true. The power she used, hypnosis, is quite strong. I've studied psychology, so I know a bit about it. Did you make any research about it? I mean, you use it really well. You use it really, and you show it really good in the movie.
Yeah, Rosario did a lot of research on it. The guys did a bit. We had a professor in, kind of, who put the guys in, kind of. But it was very mellow, you know, with those. They were very self-conscious. It's not the right circumstances in a group rehearsal session to do it, really, because they're very self-conscious, and I didn't want to have a go because I was like, suppose I'm highly suggestible and what might I reveal? But it was interesting. One of the things we did was there's a stage hypnotist in Britain, a brilliant one called Darren Brown, who is incredible, his shows. And I went along to watch them, and I watched them a number of times. And I always thought, God, he's good, because I'm sure those are actors. Because some of the stuff that goes on is just like... But they're not, because what he does is he told us this, they have cameras on the audience and they play games in the pre-show, and the people fill in forms. They're not quite sure what's... And what they're doing is they're selecting the suggestibles, the people who really want... And then the games that he plays, pick them out and get them on stage. And he'd sometimes get people up and he'd realise, no, you're not, it's not going to work with you. And he'd send them back down again. He's quite open about it. Until he gets the person on stage who does want to lose themselves. And then it's like that. And he can bring them in and out like that. And I'm watching these people, and I know actors, like I know actors' tricks, and I think that's not an actor. And it's the power of it. And consequently, there's controls, stage controls on stage hypnotists, because they could get them to do literally anything, and they're not allowed to, obviously, for protection. But it's interesting to know how powerful it is. Yeah. And obviously, because it's a movie, it's kind of the darker side of it, but you imagine there's a very positive side of it that it can help with as well.
Okay, thank you very much for the interview.